Today our session is on driving adoption and business impact with personal productivity insights. My name is Catherine Pigeon and I am a program manager lead for My Analytics. And joining me today is Nathan Barnett. He's a product marketing manager working on My Analytics and Workplace Analytics. And today we really want you to leave feeling empowered with the knowledge of how you're going to take your employee productivity to the next level with My Analytics. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to briefly introduce the product to you. We're going to showcase some of the top use cases in the product today. And then Nathan's going to take over and he's going to talk you through some of the customer success stories that we've had. And out of that, we've generated some new materials that we want you guys to take away with you back to your organizations and to have that same success in your organizations. Now, I don't need to tell you why employee productivity is important in your organization. You all have hundreds of applications that are targeting exactly that, employee productivity. But productivity is not simply derived from working quickly or more efficiently on a task. It's also derived by understanding how you spend your time, who you spend it with, and being conscious about what you're working on. And I can guarantee you today that many of the employees in your organization are actually struggling with this latter balance. And the reason why I feel confident to say that is because we have some numbers that back it up. These numbers, these statistics are coming from Gallup, McKinsey, Forrester, and academia. And they have been backed up in the findings that we've had in conversations with enterprise organizations who are going through digital transformations. I want you to take a moment and just digest these numbers and just think about what they mean for your employees at your organization and for your organization itself. Anybody resonate with any number? Anybody look up there and go, oh yeah, that's me? Yeah? Anybody surprised by anything up there? Like, oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, well, we don't like to paint a positive picture, but yes, it is pretty dismal. I think the number that strikes me the most when I first saw these numbers was the 13% engagement number. I was like, well, what does that even mean, 13% engagement? If I only had 13% engagement at my organization, don't you think I'd see the impact of that? Do you think I'd know with the organizational results and the profits? The truth is, you do see the impact, but it's a slow creeping change. And therefore, it's not immediately obvious. Organizations that have low employee engagement, they struggle with innovation. They struggle to retain their top performers. When they try to implement organizational changes, it's hard to get them adopted inside of the organization. And it's all because the employees, they just don't feel empowered to make changes. They don't feel inspired to create new things. And the reason for that is the other numbers on this slide, or most of the reasons. If an employee is spending nearly half of their meeting time going to meetings where their objectives are not being met, where the intention or the goal of the meeting is not being delivered, and it generally just feels like a waste of time, is it any surprise that the employee is going to pull back and disengage? The way we work together, the behavioral habits we have, the cultural norms that we implement inside of the organizations that we're in, they can either propel us forward or drag us back. Building healthier work habits make us more efficient, creative, and engaged. Habits such as making sure that you have clear and focused meetings with the key stakeholders that you need in order to move that objective forward. Habits such as making sure that you have sufficient time to create and think about the next big product that your organization is going to have. Habits such as making sure that you're not constantly connected, that you have this right balance between work and life so that you can get rejuvenated and de-stress. These kind of habits are what create these happier, healthier employees that are more engaged. And it is those employees inside your organizations that will directly impact your organizational results. Personal productivity insights with My Analytics is your way to help your employees with this problem, to help your organization with this problem. We use personal data and intelligent coaching to help build better work habits and basically just get you in a place where you can take control of your time. Users of My Analytics will experience it and interface with it across 3 different surfaces. These are complementary surfaces, but they do have different goals. The personal dashboard is all about giving our users an understanding of their behaviors and trends. We're providing them with insights in the way that they work so that they can understand that and determine, hey, is there anything I need to change here? And when they've identified that, they can set some goals and we'll help them to achieve it. The add-in is all about that day-to-day intelligent coaching with our users. So we're right there inside of Outlook helping you make the right decisions and focus on what's most important. This way we reduce that noise and distraction. And the digest is this weekly summary status, which makes the employee feel accountable to what it is they've signed up for, to reward them for the changes that they've made and the successes that they've had. One thing that comes up a lot is this private? Is it just mine? Am I the only one who's going to see this data? Because it is remarkable data to see about yourself. And yes, it is. It's personal and private, and only you see it. We do provide some information that the user may not necessarily be able to see either at mailbox, and that's highly aggregated so that there is no personal information that's possible to be seen. So with that in mind, let me dive right in and show you My Analytics. And we're going to go through a couple of key use cases today. We're going to talk about important people. So this is all about putting those key people that are most important to you at the forefront of your investments. And then we're going to talk about focus time, this elusive thing to get time to create and deliver on your projects. So on a day-to-day basis, we all have a few key projects and deliverables. These are the bread and butter of our jobs. But we often find ourselves in situations where we're taking on a lot of other activities, a lot of other individual pieces of work, generally small things, that are distractions and interruptions to those key deliverables. And what this leaves us with is, at the end of the day or the end of the week, you don't feel like you've reached your goals or objectives. So My Analytics helps with this problem by allowing people to identify the people that are most important, the people who directly impact the success of you being able to achieve those deliverables. And we do that right inside of Outlook. Let me flip over here. So here you can see I'm in my Outlook experience. I've got My Analytics open here on the right-hand side. Suggestion? Oh, I know what's wrong, I think. There we go. Thank you. I'm actually going to change this. Otherwise, I won't be able to do my demo. All right. So here you can see My Analytics is open on the right-hand side. And you can get to My Analytics just by going to Home and clicking on My Analytics. And you'll see there's lots of things in here, but I'm going to focus first on the ability to add important people to the list. So we do want you to identify who's important to you, but we've done a lot of work with AI and ML to try and understand who we think those people are to start with. So that it's as simple as coming in here and saying, yeah, Rajesh is an important person to me, and adding him to the list. Once I've identified these important people, I can then go through and see some of the other features light up inside of the add-in with regards to them. One of the features, which is landing really well, is the ability to quickly catch up in the email from my important people. And this is highly valuable when you've got a very busy work day, you've got a discrete amount of time for you to get back into your inbox and decide what it is that you need to work on or follow up on. When I leave my inbox, I come back to about 100 emails. And if I start at the top of the inbox, I very quickly get distracted by whatever the latest thread is. It's not necessarily the most important thing in my inbox. So My Analytics is a great solution partner here. You can come in, see what's the latest mail from the people that are most important to you. In this case, this is my boss, Camel. You can open that mail, catch up, respond, and so on. Another feature that is really great inside of My Analytics is the ability to catch up on your commitments. We recently did a research project with about 15 enterprise companies where we were looking into the use of AI to inform and transform productivity. And consistently, in the top 4 issues that employees reported in terms of wasted time was chasing down people for commitments that had been made. So this feature allows you to follow up on your commitments. So when you come in here, you can see, hey, what it is that you've said that you were going to do, follow up on it immediately. It's kind of like an AI-driven to-do list. So these are the kind of things inside of the add-in that can help you stay on top of things, stay focused on the things that are most important. If I come over to the dashboard, this is really more about the big level picture, the big picture about how your time is being spent. So what we do is we first of all look at, how much time are you actually spending collaborating with others? How much time are you spending communicating with others? How much time do you get to do that real work, that solid focus time work? And how far does your day extend? Thinking about important people, if I bring it down to the network section, this, when I get here, I really see the time I'm spending across people and groups. And when I come here, I ask myself the question, am I spreading myself too thin? Are there too many disparate things that I'm working on, too many different things, different people that I'm working with? The other thing I ask myself is, am I being a good citizen? Am I following up on the emails I'm getting? Am I being responsive with my time? And there are some people that are more important, as we've said, than others. Earlier today, I looked at this and I realized that Scott is, he's somebody I've marked as a very important person. You see it with a little star. But when I look at the statistics of my relationship with Scott, it doesn't look very positive right now. I'm not reading all of his email, clearly. And I've got a dash for response time, which really doesn't look good because that makes me feel like I may not have sent him anything in the last week. I haven't responded to anything in the last week. So, this is a relationship that I need to pay attention to. I need to follow up with Scott and make this a more healthy relationship. Now, there's a couple of ways that I could do that. I could go to the add-in. I could follow up on his mails. I could, respond to him and get that relationship back on track. Or if Scott has dropped on my priority list, this is my opportunity to reach out to him and tell him that. Just by reaching out to Scott and saying, hey, listen, I know, I'm sorry, I'm behind. There are some other things that have come up. I need to complete those things first. But you're going to get right back on that list as soon as they're done. At the end of the day, the goal here is for you, like I said, to focus your time on what's most important. So if there are other things that are most important, that's great. But make sure you maintain those important relationships in a healthy way while you do that. Now I'm going to move over to focus time. So first I just want to ask you guys, how many of you have gone through a work day and just felt like all you did the whole work day was accumulate work? You just went to, thank you. Yeah, that's my life. So you just go to one meeting after another, and every time you say, yes, yep, I got that for you. Yeah, I'll deliver that to you. Oh, yep, absolutely. Yes, yeah. You get to the end of the day, and you've got this list of things that you have to deliver. And that's when your work day starts, right? Focus time is about getting yourself your time during the day, during the work day, to actually achieve your work. And so if we go back to the add-in, what My Analytics does is it basically assesses your calendar and it starts to look at, so much for turning off reminders. It starts to look at, wow, what has she got going on with the time that's remaining? Is she really booked? Is now a good time to say to her, hey, take a block, because you're running out of the opportunity to actually get work done. Your calendar's filling up and filling up. And so what I can do here is I just go in. It makes a recommendation of a time block that I have. It knows what my work day is, so that's how it knows that it's not asking me to work outside of my normal hours. And then I can just click on this and add it. But what I like to do is I like to actually give it a name. And the reason I give it a name is because when you get that conflicting meeting, that yet another meeting that comes in that tries to overlap with it, you can see what it is you had planned to do at that time. And that's a really powerful thing, because it's a realization on your part that if I accept to go to yet another meeting where I'm not really sure what my goal is to be in that meeting, this is what I'm not going to get done. And that's why this really helps. Back in the dashboard, again, if we come down here to the focus time section of the dashboard, getting the big picture view of my focus time. So you can see, how much focus have I been getting? How has my trend been on the left-hand side? How much did I get in the past week? Now for me, you can see that my focus time has been dipping in the past couple of weeks. And that might be totally normal and fine for me. That might be a good thing. I might have gotten more work and now I'm more engaged. Or it could be that I actually am losing the opportunity to get the quality work done. Now, this is a realization for me. I can take this back and say, okay, I need to get my focus time back. But if I feel like that's not within my power, I don't have the opportunity to just carve out another 8 hours every day for me to focus, then there's another way that I can get some help. I can get some help from my manager just by clicking on share and sending it to her and just saying, hey, you know what, I'm not getting the focus I need to get the work done. I'm worried that things are going to start slipping. Can you help me manage the balance or change the order of the work that we're working on? So we can have a meaningful conversation about the data together. So really what My Analytics is trying to do is it's trying to make you be intentional in the way you work, to consider what it is that you're working on, to understand where your time is going and who you're spending it with. So what Nate's going to do now is he's going to come up and he's going to showcase for you these use cases and some others and how enterprise organizations have had success with them. And then he'll share with you materials that you can take away. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, Catherine. That was fantastic. Let's see. Oh. Catherine, can I extend this display? Sorry. I'm making this difficult on you. Hey, everybody. My name is Nate Barnett. I'm a product marketing manager for Workplace Analytics and My Analytics. I'm excited to be here. To the people who are watching from home, you may have made the right choice because it's standing room only in the room. I know you can only see the screens, but you made the right choice. Looking forward to going to the party tonight. You can find me at the beer stations if you want to chat more about My Analytics. But I'm excited to talk to you, thank you. I'm excited to talk to you about some of the customer successes that we've seen. We'll start with two sort of snackable case studies that talk about how these companies have approached My Analytics adoption in really unique ways. And then we've got a third one that I'll tee up for you that we'll go a little more in depth with. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but we're excited because we're launching that story here at Ignite. And then I'm going to touch on two new assets that we just introduced. You can access them today. One is a sway and one is a presentation that we're calling a meeting in a box. Both are super powerful when it comes to individual and team adoption of My Analytics. So let's go ahead and get started. So first up is a solar energy firm. It's based in Cupertino, California, that has been using My Analytics to dramatically change the way that they operate. And we saw some especially powerful results in the IT department there, which was suffering from a lot of common unhealthy work habits that are really pervasive in the workplace. And the team felt that their meetings were unproductive because they were just too long. They weren't always focused on the right priorities. They weren't collaborating efficiently. And they spent too much time working after hours. And the IT director, who leads this team, started holding a regular quick sync with his team to discuss strategies they could implement based on My Analytics insights. And over time, they were able to establish new norms around meeting length. They implemented requirements for organizing meetings, things like a clear agenda, outcome, inviting the right people, et cetera. And they introduced new expectations for multitasking in meetings and the amount of meetings and the email taking place outside of work hours. The second quick customer success story I want to highlight today focuses on a professional services firm. People at this company were getting really burned out by over-collaboration because they had this culture of everybody does everything together. And unfortunately, that approach isn't usually the most efficient strategy in the workplace, right? So after adopting My Analytics, these teams were really enabled to rethink how they were approaching email and meetings, and they could focus on decision speed and outcomes instead of process. And ultimately, the firm saw a 26% increase in perceived decision-making velocity, and that was based on a company survey that they ran. So the last case I'll share with you today is focused on Macy's. We're really excited to be able to feature this story here at Ignite because it's generated some really compelling outcomes. This story in particular is focused on Macy's technology department, which is concentrated today on enhancing innovation and engagement to really stay on top of the war for talent. And to surface clear opportunities for improvement, Macy's relied on employee engagement surveys and insights from My Analytics. And the tech department used this data to demonstrate that there was a really distinct correlation between employee engagement scores and team collaboration behaviors. And looking more closely at the data revealed a few key themes that became the basis of a change management program that Macy's called Time is Money. And among these things, Macy's wanted to reduce the sizes of large meetings. They wanted to increase the amount of focus time by encouraging employees to proactively block focus time on their calendars. They wanted to reduce after-hours workload in order to improve work-life balance. And they wanted to focus on collaboration norms with the goal of reducing organizational load, which we define as the amount of time an employee takes from the rest of the organization through emails and meetings. So Macy's approached these opportunities for improvement with two tools, the change management program called Time is Money and My Analytics. So Time is Money is a really innovative change management program. It's 12 weeks long. It includes 6 unique sessions dedicated to various aspects of collaboration and productivity. And in the most recent program, Macy's had 600 participants. The program introduces My Analytics right off the bat in the first session to create awareness around personal time management, how to help users set goals, and how to track them over time. And the outcomes that we've seen have been incredibly powerful. We've been able to capture some of these highlights and testimonials through a video that we shot at Macy's in San Francisco just last month. And I'm going to tee that up right now for you to see.
So the first thing that excited me about My Analytics was this opportunity to look at our culture and the way we were getting work done in different ways. And we looked at the data and said, wow, people are spending a lot of time in meetings. Is this really the best use of their time?
Prior to this program, I felt that I was running around all over the place, from meeting to meeting to meeting, and not being able to spend that time to effectively address issues and concerns.
If you're running from meeting to meeting, if you're answering emails, you're simply going to have less time.
You know, you go to meetings all day long to get assignments. When are you supposed to complete the assignments if you're only in meetings?
To the broader organization, My Analytics has shifted our way of thinking about how we get work done.
I think it unearths some things that we hadn't known before.
I set goals, it rewards me when I hit those goals, it pokes at me when I don't hit those goals, but it doesn't tie up my shoes and push me out the door. I still own what's happening in my life.
I'm more conscientious to send reminders, I'm more conscientious to start on time, to end on time, have an agenda, and that sort of led to the whole, let me decline meetings I don't need to be in, and let me accept meetings that I have to be in.
You manage your time. You've got your responsibilities of the projects that you have to get done. You have to make sure you have the time to get it done.
Now I have this dashboard that I can consult when I want a real accurate glimpse of how my work week is going. It just gives me a sense of empowerment that it's my day, it's my time, and I really know best how to prioritize it.
The business day is the most valuable thing that we can offer to our employees to be able to be as effective as they can be. And so being able to help, take a look at this, structure the day differently, structure the work differently, may give us a chance to be able to break free and also free up more time for creativity, innovation, and focus on the future.
The most important thing that I think that My Analytics has done for the Macy's Tech organization is empowerment. And just that empowerment, we saw a huge shift in how people talked about their time and how they use their time.
So you heard it from them, pretty exciting results, but more specifically, we saw some really huge impact in each of Macy's 4 focus areas. So we saw reduced meeting attendance up to 4 hours per person per week, There were more focused time blocks that were proactively calendared, up to 4 hours per person per week. And despite increased demand during this time, after-hours work was either maintained or actually decreased. And finally, there was a major reduction in organizational load by up to 50%. So fantastic results. And people are really happy. This program, using My Analytics, has helped improve the perception of Macy's as a more innovative and flexible place to work. People feel more productive, they're more deliberate with how they plan their time, they delegate more effectively, and they're adopting better meeting hygiene. So now we've seen how 3 customers have used My Analytics to drive change in really unique ways, but we recognize that there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to adoption and change. So we've developed 2 powerful assets to help you help your people use My Analytics more effectively. We've developed a Sway that's intended to introduce individual employees to challenges and opportunities associated with personal productivity and collaboration norms. And I'll show you highlights from that in just a minute. We also created a presentation that we're calling Meeting in a Box that's intended to be just that. It's a super structured meeting that can be used by managers with their teams after individuals on the team have reviewed that Sway. And it walks through the challenges that we see in the workplace and gives teams an opportunity to be really introspective about their unique team culture so that they can diagnose issues and opportunities for improvement through My Analytics. And I'll give you a sneak peek into that as well. So let's start with the Sway. As I said, it's intended for use by individuals on your team. It's a 10 to 15 minute experience that helps people become more familiar with common issues related to personal productivity in the workplace. It starts off by highlighting the idea of time as a form of currency. We all get 1,440 minutes each day, but how we spend that time is really up to each and every one of us. We're responsible for making the decisions that help us be more productive and efficient. But of course, it's oftentimes difficult to actually quantify how we're using our time. There's been some cool research and work that shows how famous people in history have used their time, obviously to great effect. So it prompts the question, what if you had a tool that could give you a similar view into how you spend your days? And despite the fact that most of us have pretty grand aspirations for our time, the reality is pretty dismal. In the Sway, we relate to the same problems that Catherine mentioned earlier to reinforce these problem areas. These statistics help convey the state of the modern workforce, really. People are disengaged, they're distracted, they feel unproductive. And you're probably familiar with the stats, and even if you aren't, you recognize the pain points that they describe. We encourage people as individuals to think about how they're using their own time. Things like, are the majority of the meetings that you attend an effective use of your time? Are you able to carve out sufficient think time in your day? Do you spend too many hours working outside of normal business hours? If any of these questions raise red flags, we recommend the people who are using this Sway to go visit My Analytics to set up goals that will address these problems specifically. And finally, we give a quick tour of My Analytics functionality to help people, to give people the context that they need to be successful when they actually start using it. The actual Sway is much more robust than the highlights that I just touched on, but it's a very powerful product. So let's transition to the Meeting in the Box, which again is what managers can use in a team setting after introducing these ideas to their individual people with the My Analytics Sway. So the presentation is intended to be used over the course of an hour. It introduces My Analytics, and ultimately, we want this discussion to help you identify opportunity areas, to establish some shared norms, and develop expectations around how work actually gets done. Meeting in a Box should really be an open discussion, and it should be interactive. We want people to be curious, to be open-minded, and honest as they walk through these discussions. And the content is structured in a way that we would like to see all meetings handled. There are clear objectives up front. There's an introduction to or to specific challenges, and then it focuses on 4 areas for impact. Those are meeting quality, focus time, after-hours work, and culture and norms. And at the end, there's a section that demonstrates more ways that individuals and teams can use My Analytics to drive change. Now, we're not going to run through the whole thing today, but I'll give you a quick look at the meeting quality section to give you an idea of the value that this piece of content offers. So the meeting section starts by asking participants to reflect on their normal meeting behaviors and habits. Are most of the meetings they attend actually an effective use of their time? Then it focuses on the challenge that meetings can create in companies. It calls out that meeting overload isn't unique to one organization, and that surveys are consistently highlighting the issues that meetings create across functions and levels. Even senior managers say that meetings are keeping them from completing their work, and many agree that they're simply unproductive and inefficient. We can certainly all relate to that. On the next slide, we move from framing the problem to actually addressing it. Each of these three aspects of the diagnosis process is touched on actually directly in My Analytics. So we point out that you can measure your overall meeting time. You can examine your meeting habits, things like long meetings, conflicting meetings, multitasking in meetings. And it shows you how many meetings you organize versus those you attend as an attendee or an invitee. And after you use My Analytics to diagnose your meeting issues, you can start to target specific key aspects, like the structure of the meeting, with questions to help you create a better, more effective experience. Things like, why are you having this meeting? What's the ultimate goal? How do we execute on this goal, etc. The role people play is also a really key aspect, and it helps to ensure that meetings have the right people in attendance without wasting people's time. And depending on the meeting, it'll oftentimes make sense to have the key decision maker, the decision taker, which is the person who's going to actually execute on this plan, a subject matter expert, who's the person who can provide some unique input, a facilitator, the person who's actually running this meeting, and a fresh perspective, which is someone who might not be close to the team, but has relevant experience that could be useful in the process. And finally, we make all of this actionable with My Analytics. Managers can encourage their people to take very specific actions in My Analytics targeting meeting effectiveness. They can set meeting goals. They can review meetings and consider cutting the ones that you think are low value. They can establish expectations for multitasking and targets. And you know, this step is really critical for the success of My Analytics adoption. Because it makes what your team learns in the sway and throughout the meeting in the box actually actionable. So again, recommend that you leverage both of these assets. They're available today at the links that you see here, and we're more than happy to share them with you directly after this session. I think we've got all of your contact information when you walked in and got scanned. So My Analytics adoption obviously is a key part of personal productivity and change management with Microsoft. We've discussed how other companies have achieved success and how you can use these fantastic new resources to drive adoption among your people. I really get excited about this stuff, and I get even more excited when I see companies using My Analytics to make real lasting change. And that's what we saw with NASCAR. We sent one of our team members, Peter there, to Chicago last week to film this video, and we'd like to share it with you now as some of the earliest viewers.
At Microsoft, we believe in empowering every person on the planet to achieve more. And we're working together with organizations like NASCAR to drive their digital transformation with communications and collaboration insight from My Analytics in Office 365.
My Analytics has helped me to prioritize first things first, and those things that are most important. Blocking the focus hours when I have peak energy in the morning, and making sure that I can still make it home for dinner.
My Analytics helps your people focus, giving them a personalized view of how they spend their time, and coaching them to be more productive, creative employees.
We're moving at the speed of light. We're moving just as fast off the track as we are on the track, and we've got to have a key piece of software that helps us take that step back and really look at optimizing our time.
Yeah, my favorite feature is really the recommendation to book that focus time, because if I don't, then my calendar is just there for the taking.
So My Analytics has enabled us to focus more on critical thinking through how we can approach our clients to gain business profit for them.
When I think about the business impact of My Analytics, it starts personal, and I set my goal for 10 focus hours, and then it spread to our department, and now we're working towards a goal of 100 collective focus hours.
Set goals, understand obstacles, and save your most valuable resource, time.
Time is our most valuable commodity. My Analytics has provided us an opportunity to really become more efficient and more productive.
Work smarter with My Analytics in Office 365.
Pretty cool, right? Well, with that, we'll open it up for questions. I'll invite Catherine back up on stage if we have any. If not, that's total. Oh, yeah. Sure. So the question is, after you turn it on, will employees be able to compare, what they're seeing now compared to what they were seeing, or what their behaviors were previously?
Yeah, so one of the things I showed you in the dashboard was those trends where you can see, and there's like a snippet of a 4-week window that you see right there. There's also another section at the top that we didn't look at today, which is trends over, I think it's 3 to 6 month period. So you can see how things have been changing or escalating over time. Any other questions?
Are you going to also add other sources of data like Skype or Microsoft Teams or interactions that are also happening in other products?
Yeah, the question is, well, I'll ask you, Catherine.
Yeah.
Catherine,
yes.
What do you plan to incorporate additional signals from Office 365?
Absolutely, Nate.
Perfect.
Yes, we're actually actively working on Skype right now, Skype and document signals, and then we're going to work through the whole family.
Employees before and after the program?
That's a good question, and I'm not sure that we targeted. Oh yeah.
Would you repeat the question? Sorry.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Regarding the Macy's case study, did we see a difference in employee retention before and after? Which is a fantastic question. I can't remember if that's a metric that we looked at specifically, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
I'm really thinking that's the most important metric you have, because that shows that people are comfortable with the change in the working environment. The lady in NASCAR said something about home for dinner. That's as simple as really what you're saving time to get your life back.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of implied that through employee satisfaction increases and what we saw from Macy's, where people are generally just feeling more happy, feel like they have more control, that's going to extend itself into retention in the organization.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So did you implement any specific methodology that some expert somewhere wrote as a part of this? Because you're getting all the data, but thinking about what do I focus on, and how do I think about KPIs and stuff like that. So did you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, no, just to repeat the question, because I know I want this recorded. Is there a specific methodology that we implement as we're going through these processes, as we're looking at this data?
So yeah, we've been working with subject matter experts in this area. So we've been working with behavioral psychologists, with professional coaches, and then obviously the leaders in our organization are deeply rooted in this particular background of business productivity, employee engagement, and things like that. So that's where a lot of this comes from. And then obviously we continue to evolve the products. The more we learn, the more we work with organizations that you're seeing, NASCAR and Macy's and things like that, the better we get at refining this and understanding this.
Can you turn
on the mic?
I'll repeat your question.
How is this usually provisioned? Is it like from one day to another, it's turned on for everybody in the company, or how does it usually work?
Sure. So, Catherine, how is this usually provisioned? Is it company-wide, or is it by individuals? How do companies
Well,
get
there's
this?
a couple of different ways that you can acquire the product. You can acquire it as an add-on, or you get it as part of the E5 package. And then you have full control over assigning it to whoever you want to assign it within your organization. So it's not an all or nothing kind of switch. As soon as you turn it on, you immediately start to get the value from the product inside of the add-in with Outlook. And then obviously the collated data that we showed about, like your trends and patterns and things like that, that's something that we start collecting from the moment you assign it to the person. So that takes just a little bit longer, I think like 9 to 13 days.
But maybe you want to have this training before you turn it on.
Yeah, I don't know that training's a prerequisite to turning it on. It's definitely a prerequisite probably for employees to get the highest positive impact from it. Because I think that some people, I mean, yeah, I have people I work with in my organization that still struggle with multitasking and will tell me vehemently that they are better people when they multitask in meetings. And we have long conversations about how that's just not physically possible. He cannot be doing two things at the same time, much as he wishes he could. So, you know, there's definitely a learning aspect to that employees, a journey that we should take them on. And that's why we wanted to create these materials to help you guys with that part of the conversation. Does that help?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just to follow on to that, so when you say as an add-on, is it kind of like Power BI Pro where you can get 50 licenses?
I'm going to pass that to my product marketing manager.
Oh, that's a great question.
Let me ask you the question.
It seems like it'd be good to pilot it with a small group, see how it goes, and then add more licenses as you see value.
Yeah. So the question, Nate, is can you purchase the add-on for individual users, kind of like Power BI Pro?
My pleasure, Catherine. Yes, my understanding is that you absolutely can. It's an add-on to most of the enterprise SKUs. It does come with E5, but you can license it for, I believe, any number of users you want. Yeah, and there are trials available if you're interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's a priority for us. We're super pumped about Teams. Like, all of this data is going to be really exciting alongside that new tech. So, yeah, absolutely. I don't have an ETA. I know that's probably what you're looking for.
Do you have a published schedule of what applications you're bringing into that?
I don't believe we have that yet.
Do we have a published schedule, Catherine?
No, I don't think we do. But we should follow up on that one. I think we have a way that we publish out what our immediate roadmap is.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you should see it come out through there.
I do believe, I'd say that we're in the process of prioritizing signals, and that's still a discussion that we're having internally. That's true of Workplace Analytics and My Analytics, although you're the expert in My Analytics, so I'm not going to step on your toes. Yes, ma'am.
Have you had any case studies with professional service organizations implementing this and seeing any changes in the utilization percentages?
So the question is, have you had any case studies with professional services?
Yes, we have, focused specifically on utilization in terms of how much time people are spending with clients. Okay, that's also a great question. We work with a lot of professional services organizations who are helping to implement or helping adoption cycles with My Analytics. But I don't know that we've dug into that specific use case. That's a great idea. Sir?
I'm like the redo guy. Whenever somebody comes up, I follow them. So because you have that information on a lot of people all over the place, are you establishing any comparisons? I thought I saw something that said, based on generally what you do, this is what other people that are of yours still doing the same thing. Do you guys have anything like that in the works?
So, Catherine, because you have information coming from a lot of different people in the organization, do you have anything that allows me to, compare how my stats look against someone in my peer group or in my level or role?
Yes.
It could be across other organizations as
Yeah. So we've thought about this problem in a couple of different ways. The first thing that we do in providing the product is organizational averages, which is, depending on the size of your organization, may or may not be valuable. The other thing that we're looking at is trying to define kind of profiles of people and allowing you to understand how do you compare to a profile, rather than saying, these are all the PMs in, this discrete region, because, things are different by location, by organization type. So it's, that's more where we're going. Like, how do we let you identify the profile that you recognize with, and then provide the appropriate comparisons in that way. So that's the way we're thinking about it. We have not yet established all of the pieces of that, but that's the way we're thinking about it.
Excellent, that's wonderful.
Sir, did you have a question?
Yes, some countries do have some strict rules about laws and regulations, how deep you must track an individual employee behavior. Have you come across some issues related to that?
Catherine, do you want me to ask you about privacy?
Yeah, I think that was a question about, certain countries have different representations of privacy and what's allowed and what's not allowed. I think nearly everything in the product is 100% fine for the majority of organizations. We've had no privacy concerns. The only time any conversation has come up is with regards to after hours. And, and representing it in this way, because again, after hours today includes email and calendaring information, but then we have Skype signals that will bring that further along, and document signals that will bring it even further along. So there's been some questions in countries that are very regimented about after hours with regards to having that particular part of the functionality there. But it doesn't block us in deployment in any way, and we have Microsoft Germany using it, and France, and all of these other locations. So yeah.
And it is important to note, I know Catherine mentioned this earlier, but only you have access to your information. Your boss can't see it, HR can't see it, it's just you.
Yeah, we're really passionate about that part of the product, because this is a personal empowerment tool. And if you want to work together as a team, then you can buy in the team. Let's all come together and agree to have that conversation together. That's where the materials are coming from as well. Like, have a conversation. That's what will change things.
Absolutely. Anything else? Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much, folks. Much appreciated.